Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. He was going to kill me, and the only thing I could hear over the thunder of my own pulse was the guttural, starving voice inside his head screaming, mine. It wasn't a spoken word. The man standing across the obsidian boardroom table hadn't moved a muscle. Sebastian Kale, the ruthless CEO of Kale Corp and the apex predator of the city's business district, stood with the stillness of a viper before a strike. His face was a mask of cold, aristocratic indifference, his gray eyes tracking my movement with terrifying precision. But the voice, that rough, dark sound tearing through my telepathic defenses, was primal. I want to pin him to the glass. I want to bite through that cheap collar and taste the fear on his pulse. Why does he smell like rain and vanilla? Why is he working for that snake? I swallowed hard, my grip tightening on the tablet I was clutching like a shield. Mr. Kale, I managed to say, my voice trembling despite my best efforts to channel the professional detachment my actual boss, Dorian Blackwood, demanded. The merger proposal. Mr. Blackwood insists that you review the addendum regarding the shipping lanes. Sebastian didn't look at the tablet. He looked at my throat. Rip it open, the voice inside his head growled, a stark contrast to his pristine, tailored three-piece suit. Claim him. Mark him before he leaves this room. Leave it on the desk, Sebastian said aloud. His spoken voice was smooth, baritone, and devoid of the madness echoing in his mind. And tell Dorian that if he sends his pretty little beta to do his dirty work again, I might just keep him. I froze. The air in the room felt suddenly heavy, charged with static electricity. For years, I had navigated the treacherous waters of corporate espionage as Dorian's shadow, a nondescript beta invisible to the pheromone-driven power plays of the alphas at the top. But for the last week, ever since I locked eyes with Sebastian Kale at the charity gala, the headaches had started. And then, the voices. Not voices. Just his voice. Run, little rabbit, Sebastian's inner wolf taunted, the thought vibrating in my skull like a bass drum. Run so I have an excuse to chase you. I turned and fled, the heavy mahogany doors slamming shut behind me, cutting off the sight of the predator, but failing to silence the echo of his desire. The rain in Neo Viridia was relentless, a curtain of neon-lit gray that washed the grime off the skyscrapers, but did nothing to cleanse the corruption inside them. I sat in the back of the company car, pressing my forehead against the cool glass. My head was splitting. The blockers I took daily, standard issue for betas working in high-stress alpha environments, weren't working. Did he sign it? The voice from the screen on the dashboard made me jump. Dorian Blackwood's face materialized, pixelated but still radiating that polished, venomous charm. No, sir, I replied, adjusting my glasses. He refused to even look at the tablet. He threatened to keep me if you sent me again. Dorian laughed, a dry, rasping sound. Did he now? That's promising. It means he's distracted. Kale has always had a weakness for broken things. I stiffened. Sir, tonight, Julian, Dorian said, his eyes narrowing. Tonight is the night we end Kale Corp's dominance. While he is obsessing over his little power games, you are going to infiltrate his private server. I've arranged for a bypass. You have the keycard I gave you. I touched the breast pocket of my blazer. The black card felt heavy, like a piece of lead. I do. But sir, the security at his penthouse is designed to stop rival alphas and corporate spies. Dorian cut in. Not a harmless, low-level assistant. You're invisible, Julian. That is your greatest asset. Get into his penthouse, upload the virus to his personal server, and destroy his leverage. Do this, and your sister's medical debt is wiped clean. You have my word. The mention of Alaris silenced my protest. Dorian knew exactly which strings to pull. I understand. Good. Don't disappoint me. Kale is a monster. He'd tear this city apart for profit. We're the heroes here, Julian. Never forget that. The call ended. I looked out at the passing city lights, feeling a wave of nausea. A monster. That's what everyone called Sebastian Kale. The Wolf of Wall Street wasn't just a nickname. Rumors whispered that his alpha lineage was so potent, so feral, that he had decimated his own family to take the throne. But if he was a monster, why did his inner thoughts sound less like a conqueror and more like a starving man. Why does he look so sad? The thought had whispered from Sebastian's mind earlier, just for a second, beneath the layers of lust and aggression. Who hurt him? I shook my head, trying to dislodge the memory. It didn't matter. Tonight, I had to betray him. The penthouse was a fortress of glass and steel perched atop the highest spire in the district. It screamed isolation. Getting in had been terrifyingly easy, thanks to the backdoor codes Dorian had purchased from a corrupt security chief. The interior was dark, lit only by the ambient glow of the city below. It smelled of expensive scotch, leather, and something else, something woodsy and sharp, like a forest after a storm. It was Sebastian's scent. It made my knees weak, a reaction that confused me. Betas weren't supposed to react to alpha pheromones. I crept toward the massive desk in the center of the living area, my heart hammering against my ribs. I pulled the data drive from my pocket. He's here. The voice slammed into my mind so hard I nearly dropped the drive. Asterisk, he came to me. He walked right into the den. Asterisk. I spun around. Sebastian was sitting in a high-backed armchair in the corner, shrouded in shadow. I hadn't seen him. I hadn't heard him. He was holding a tumbler of amber liquid, his legs crossed, watching me with predatory stillness. Mr. Kale, I gasped, the blood draining from my face. Julian, he purred. The sound of my name on his lips felt like a physical caress. Breaking and entering? I didn't take you for the adventurous type. I took a step back, my hand trembling as I tried to hide the drive behind my back. I was sent to deliver. Don't lie to me. He stood up. The movement was fluid, lethal. He stalked toward me, the moonlight catching the sharp angles of his cheekbones. He smells like terror, Sebastian's wolf thought, the internal voice a low, vibrating growl. Asterisk, it makes my teeth ache. I want to soothe him. I want to ruin him. Asterisk. Dorian sent you, Sebastian said, stopping just inches from me. He towered over me, his presence overwhelming. He thinks I'm stupid. He thinks I don't know he bought the security codes 3 days ago. My breath hitched. You knew? I let you in, Sebastian whispered, leaning down until his lips brushed the shell of my ear. Because I wanted to see if you'd actually do it. Please don't do it, his mind pleaded, a sudden, shocking vulnerability cutting through the dominance. Asterisk, please don't be like the others. Don't make me destroy you. Asterisk. The dissonance between his cold threat and his desperate thought made me reel. I looked up into his eyes. They weren't just gray, they were swirling with flecks of gold, the sign of an alpha on the brink of a rut. I have no choice, I whispered, my voice cracking. My sister. Sebastian paused. His gaze dropped to the drive in my hand, then back to my face. Asterisk family. He's being blackmailed. Asterisk. The rage that exploded in his mind was terrifying. It wasn't directed at me. It was a tsunami of violence directed entirely at Dorian Blackwood. Asterisk, I will flay him alive. I will burn his legacy to ash for touching what belongs to me. Asterisk. Belongs to you. I blurted out, the words slipping past my lips before I could stop them. Sebastian went rigid. His eyes widened slightly. What did you say? I clamped a hand over my mouth. I had responded to his thought. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Sebastian studied me, his gaze intensifying, dissecting me layer by layer. He took a step closer, inhaling deeply near the crook of my neck. You can hear me, he said softly. It wasn't a question. I backed into the desk, trapped. I don't know what you mean. You aren't a beta, Sebastian murmured, his hand coming up to rest on the desk beside my hip, boxing me in. No beta could hear the call of a prime alpha. No beta would smell this sweet while terrified. My mate, the wolf roared inside him. Asterisk found him. Found him. Found him. Asterisk. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. The headaches. The sensitivity. The blockers failing. I wasn't a beta. I was a latent omega, presenting late, and my biology had chosen the most dangerous man in the city as its counterpart. I'm not. I stammered, tears pricking my eyes. I'm just Julian. I'm just an assistant. You are my soul, Sebastian corrected, his voice rough with suppressed emotion. He reached out, his fingers grazing my jawline. His skin was burning hot. And you are holding a virus that will wipe out my life's work. So, Julian, what are you going to do? I looked at the drive. I thought of Alara. Then I thought of Dorian's smile, the way he treated people like disposable pawns. And I looked at Sebastian, the monster who had let me break into his home just to see if I was worth saving. The monster whose inner thoughts were currently a chaotic whirlwind of panic that I might reject him. Choose me, Sebastian's mind begged. Please, God, choose me. I dropped the drive. It clattered onto the hardwood floor. Sebastian released a breath he seemed to have been holding for a lifetime. He closed his eyes, his forehead resting against mine. Good boy. But the moment of peace was shattered by a loud beep from my pocket. My phone. I pulled it out. It was a text from Dorian. Asterisk took too long. Plan B initiated. Get out if you can. Asterisk. What does that mean? I whispered, staring at the screen. Sebastian snatched the phone from my hand. His eyes scanned the text, and his face went pale. Gas, he snarled. What? The ventilation system, Sebastian shouted, grabbing my arm and hauling me toward the door. Dorian didn't just want to steal data. He wanted to liquidate the competition. He rigged the building's air scrubbers. As if on cue, a hiss echoed through the penthouse. A pale green mist began to seep from the vents near the ceiling. Neurotoxin, Sebastian coughed, pulling his jacket over his nose and mouth, then pressing me against his chest. Don't breathe, Julian. We ran. The elevator was too slow. Sebastian kicked open the stairwell door, the metal groaning under his alpha strength. We descended, taking the stairs 3 at a time. My lungs burned. The edges of my vision began to blur. Sebastian, I wheezed, stumbling. I can't. He didn't hesitate. He swept me up into his arms, carrying me as if I weighed nothing. I won't let him die, his thoughts screamed, a frantic mantra. Asterisk not now. Not when I finally found him. Take my breath, take my strength, just keep him safe. Asterisk. I could feel the immense power radiating off him, the sheer will keeping him moving despite the toxin surely entering his system. He was burning through his own vitality to shield me. We burst out into the lobby, startling the night security. Sebastian didn't stop until we were out in the torrential rain, collapsing onto the wet pavement of the private courtyard. He fell to his knees, gasping for air, his suit soaked and ruined. I crawled over to him, my hands frantic. Sebastian, I cried, grabbing his lapels. Sebastian, look at me. He coughed, spitting out saliva tinged with blood. He looked up, his eyes glowing a fierce, unnatural gold in the darkness. The toxin was fighting his biology, sending him into a forced, violent rut. Get away, he groaned, pushing me back. It's too much. The wolf. I can't control it. Asterisk too close. He smells too good. I'll hurt him. I'll break him. Asterisk. You won't, I said, a sudden surge of certainty washing over me. The bond between us snapped into place, a bridge of pure empathy. I could feel his pain, his lust, and his overwhelming need for an anchor. I didn't run. I moved closer. I wrapped my arms around his neck, pulling his soaking wet body against mine. Julian, run, he roared, his voice distorting into a growl. No, I whispered against his ear. You called me your soul. You don't run from your soul. I kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It was a collision of desperate need. Sebastian froze for a second, and then he shattered. His arms crushed me to him, his hands tangling in my hair, his mouth devouring mine with a hunger that should have been terrifying but felt like salvation. The rain hammered down around us, washing away the poison, washing away the lies. Mine, the voice in his head said, but this time it was calm. It was absolute. Asterisk finally. Mine, asterisk. He pulled back, breathless, his forehead resting against mine. The gold in his eyes had settled into a deep, warm amber. Dorian will pay for this, Sebastian vowed, his voice low and deadly. He tried to kill you to get to me. I will take everything he has. His company, his reputation, his freedom. He looked at me, his thumb brushing over my wet cheek. But first, I need to know, are you with me? Truly, I listened to his thoughts one last time. There was no deception, no manipulation, just a vast, terrifyingly deep ocean of devotion waiting for permission to engulf me. I'm with you, I said. All the way. Sebastian smiled, a sharp, dangerous expression that promised ruin for his enemies and the world for me. Then let's go hunting. And that is how the viper tamed the wolf. If you enjoyed seeing Sebastian take control, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, Would you forgive a rival who kidnapped you to save your life? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then, prompt image. Prompt, masterpiece, best quality, high-res, 1.2. Korean manhwa style, semi-realistic, digital art, 2 min, BL, Yaoi, man 1. Sebastian Kale, tall, sharp jawline, glowing gold eyes, slicked back black hair, wearing ruined expensive suit, wet from rain, intense protective expression, kneeling. Man 2. Julian, smaller frame, messy brown hair, glasses askew, wearing office attire, soaking wet, clinging to man 1, looking up with trust. Background is dark city street at night, heavy rain, neon. Lights reflecting on wet pavement, dramatic lighting, cinematic composition, emotional atmosphere, sharp focus, intricate details.